presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Southwest.
When this season began, one of the questions facing Ranger skipper Jeff Bannister was how would Ian Desmond fare, not only changing leagues, but changing positions. Well, if the last couple of weeks is any indication, Ian is doing just fine in his adjustment to his new surroundings. The Rangers outfielder has found his batting stroke, and he's shown the arm strength to discourage any base runners from attempting to take an extra 90 feet. Tonight, Ian and the Rangers get their second look this season at the Los Angeles Angels. Coming up next on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT high-speed internet. Well, still cloudy skies overhead, but nothing dampening the spirit of the Ranger fans coming into Globe Life Park in Arlington tonight. They will witness the first of three as your Rangers take on the Los Angeles Angels. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Graves, Steve Busby. Delighted you can join us for this Friday night of Ranger baseball. Rangers coming off a 2-out-of-3 series win against the Yankees and look to carry it right on through as they take on the Angels. One guy that has really been playing well for the Rangers and doing a great job adjusting to the American League, Ian Desmond. Tom, he has been swinging the bat well.
He's been swinging the bat well, Buzz. He's one of those guys that plays with a lot of energy. He's a lot of fun to watch play. It's not just one facet of the game. He's an excellent base runner. He had to transition from shortstop to left field, but he's done so well in left field that Jeff Bannister is perfectly welcoming him in center field, where he'll play tonight. He throws well. He's in the top 10 in the league in runs scored, even though he got off to a slow start. And over his last 9 games, he's really picked it up, hitting about 380, hitting the ball out of the ballpark, getting on base, and scoring runs. Really good athlete, playing well right now, and he is a lot of fun to watch.
That he is. And the Ranger offense has been fun to watch after they had that slow start in Chicago. They've been good lately, and I hope to keep it up here tonight behind Colby Lewis. Yankees and the Rangers coming up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT high-speed internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. By Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Well, a cloudy, humid, comfortable evening, if you will. Temperature comfortable anyway. Rangers are taking the field. Before we get things started, let's check in with Emily Jones.
Buzz, Colby Lewis taking the mound tonight for the 5th time in 2016. Off to a good start, 1-0 in 4 starts with a 3.38 ERA. Part of a very consistent Rangers starting rotation. He says that they take great pride in.
We just try to keep it close, and then knowing with our offense when they're going to come through, and it's just fun. I mean, when games are tight and puts that little extra added pressure. But yeah, overall, I feel like we're having fun with it and enjoying everybody.
And that starting rotation producing 16 quality starts thus far. I got a little ahead of myself. After tonight, it'll be 17. Second in Major League Baseball, guys.
All right, and thank you. That's quite all right. We'll take 17, 18, whatever they want to put out there, and we can talk about that. Now, Colby trying to continue that streak here tonight, and Tom's going to tell you about the Angels lineup that he will face.
Yunel Escobar is the third baseman. He will lead off. New player in the lineup, left fielder Rafael Ortega will bat second. Mike Trout and Albert Pujols hit third and fourth. Cole Calhoun is in right field. Andrelton Simmons is the shortstop. C.J. Cron is at first base. Ex-Ranger Giovanni Soto is the catcher, playing second base, batting ninth, Johnny Giavotella.
And that lineup for Mike Scioscia will face the 36-year-old right-hander from Bakersfield, California. Colby Lewis, his 5th start of the year, 1-0, although he's left 3 of those ball games with a chance to win. He's left when the ball club was ahead and didn't get a decision. ERA of 3.38 and the opposition hitting 280 against the veteran right-hander. He hasn't had a whole lot of luck against the Angels over the last couple of years. Angels have treated him pretty rudely. 5 starts against the Angels here in Arlington the last 2 years. He is 0-4 with an ERA just south of 13. Now you see if we can change that luck here tonight. Yunel Escobar to start things off. We are underway. And Colby begins with a breaking ball for strike 1. Escobar, 281, 3 home runs, 7 driven in. Brought in this year to play that third base position and bat leadoff for the Angels. David Freese, the previous third baseman, left Los Angeles. Foul back. Escobar, though, a pretty good pickup last year, and Escobar was with the Washington Nationals. As a matter of fact, a teammate of Rangers outfielder Ian Desmond, and Escobar had one of his better offensive years. He hit 314 for Washington. Check swing. Did he go? He did not. Appeal down to the first base umpire, Lance Barrett. He said no. Two-two offering. 3-2. Oh, Escobar leading things off. The left fielder Rafael Ortega waiting in the on-deck circle. And Colby with a payoff pitch. Desmond got a good jump. He is going back, and kind of a little half leap makes the catch. That looked pretty graceful for a guy that hasn't had a lot of experience in center field.
He definitely plays with some style out there.
Man.
Love watching him play.
Now we'll take a look at the rest of the Ranger defense is delivered to you by Chicken Express tonight. You saw Ian Desmond getting the start in center field tonight and already put to the test. He's flanked by Nomar Mazara in right, Ryan Rua in left. Mitch Moreland back on the lineup, Ian Odor on the right side, Anderson Beltre on the left side of the infield, and Brian Holiday is catching for Colby Lewis. So one away, and Rafael Ortega steps in, left-handed hitter, and first ball swinging, Rua has this one measured for out number 2. Tom, you got to appreciate what a guy like Desmond can do.
Yeah, you know, I think the reality of it is, Buzz, when you've got an athlete like Desmond, like Delino, guys that can run, it's probably easier for him to play center field than it is left field. I think when you're straight away watching the ball come out of the pitcher's hand, you can actually get a better jump in center field because you got a better feel for whether the hitter is early or late on the ball than you probably do in left field or right field. Just a matter of, even though it might be easier to get a jump, not many guys can play out there because there's so much room to cover and they don't have the athletic ability. But a guy like Desmond probably do just as well, if not better, in center than he would in left.
Into center field off the hands, and that's going to fall for a base hit. So Mike Trout swinging a hot bat, and he had one fall in front of Ian Desmond for a 2-out single. Trout aboard, and he is inching up now near the 300 mark overall. You remember when the Rangers saw him out in Anaheim, Trout hitting right around 200. Well, he's done some work in the last 10 ball games to get up near the 300 mark, and he continues that with the first at-bat single tonight.
Yeah, and he got a base hit on it, but if the Rangers can contain him to that type of contact consistently over the weekend, they'll be in pretty good shape.
Now here's a guy that they contained very well, Albert Pujols, and Pujols has not quite gotten it untracked this year yet, hitting just 169, but he has done some damage. He's tied for the team high with Trout, 5 home runs, and he has driven in 14. And against Colby Lewis, as you can see, Colby really hasn't found a consistent answer. Right up the middle, but that's where Rougned Odor is. He'll take it to second, step on it, and that is the end of the inning. No runs, a hit, 1 left. Good job by Colby Lewis. We'll go to the bottom of the first inning, no score in Arlington. First, and Tom's going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers batting order.
Rougned Odor leads off. Nomar Mazara in his customary spot. Second in the order, Adrian Beltre is third. Prince Fielder back in the lineup, batting fourth. Ian Desmond is in center field. Mitch Moreland at first base, bats sixth. Elvis Andrus third in the league with a .343 batting average, is hitting seventh. Ryan Rule will get the start in left field, and batting ninth is the catcher Brian Holiday.
And that lineup will face the 28-year-old southpaw Hector Santiago. And it looks like Santiago, based on what he has done this year, is starting to develop. And a lot of times left-handers develop a little bit later than right-handers as far as pitching goes, but he's starting to develop some pretty good consistency now, his command of all 3 pitches that he throws. And the Rangers, knowing that, will try to be aggressive once Santiago establishes that he's going to throw a lot of strikes. He's been doing that of late, and I think you see the Rangers be pretty aggressive early in the count against him. Odor winds it up the middle. He got that breaking ball, and Rougned doing exactly what he's supposed to do, being the leadoff man. He was on base.
Yeah, he got that, looked like a slider, kind of flattened out over the plate. Good contact by Rougned. Starts off the game with a line drive, leg kick. And as you hear hitting coaches talk about all the time, when you have that kind of a leg kick, one thing, the timing is important to get your front foot down on the ground soon enough to be able to time the pitch and hit it with authority, and he certainly did at that time.
So Odor aboard to start things off. Here's Nomar Mazara. 1 ball, no strikes. Mazara facing the team against whom he made his major league debut back on the 10th of April. And Nomar since then has done a lot of work. 15 ball games, a .345 average, 2 home runs, 6 RBI, all hitting in the number 2 slot. 1 ball and 1 strike. Mazara, who turned the ripe old age of 21 here on Tuesday night, celebrated with a 2-hit night. Made a couple of outstanding defensive plays to add a little icing to his birthday cake. C.J. Cron over there at first base. And one of the things Angel first basemen have done for a long, long time is play off the bag like that. They'll play a couple of steps off the bag and just a step or so in front of it. A couple of ideas about why you would want to do that. We'll talk about that in just a second. I feel that if the pitcher can make a throw to where you're standing and you can catch the ball and tag the runner at the same time, you may get an extra pickoff. Mike Scioscia feels that the ball will get there quicker, and you might get a runner who is just going into his dive or slide back to the bag that way. You also give the first baseman a little bit extra range starting a couple of feet off the bag. We're on a ground ball that normally would go through, might not have. And there's what we're talking about. Odor going back standing, and yet the first baseman catches it a couple of feet out from the bag and get that tag on a little more quickly. You just have to be aware of that as a base runner, that I've got to react just as though the first baseman were back right next to the bag. Line drive just foul, and that's going to cost Nomar a bat. Not an at-bat, but a bat.
The off-speed pitch stayed inside. It was high. Inside to the point where it hit him right off the hand. That's why his bat broke. Santiago got off to a great start last year. In fact, he made the All-Star team last year. He faded after the All-Star game a little bit, but before the break, he had a winning record, 2.33 ERAs, off the same kind of a start in April this year.
Slowly hit out to Giavotella. They get one. That's all they're going to get. Coming across the bag, Andrelton Simmons trying to get the second base umpire, Dale Scott, to say that the slide was not a legal one by Rougned Odor, but Dale Scott having none of that, so it's going to be the force play.
When you're in the baseline halfway to first base, there's not much the runner can do. Rugi did slightly slide by the base, but he started in plenty of time. Straight slide. I don't see anything wrong with that slide.
Yeah, and he can still keep contact with the bag as he slid over it.
I mean, look where Simmons is. He's 3 feet in front of the bag, right straight in the line of the runner.
And Mike Scioscia making a pretty adamant point, as he likes to do, to Bob Davidson, the home plate umpire. Now that's a reviewable play, and certainly if Scioscia wants to use his challenge on that play here in the first inning, he is certainly welcome to do that.
Slides right straight into the bag.
Yep.
And he keeps his hand on the bag.
And he didn't deviate he didn't go out of his started path to create contact.
No,
that was the path he took to the bag.
That's just how slowly the ball was hit and where Simmons was when he received the ball.
And Scioscia's going to go out and have a chat with Dale Scott too. Those are the two criteria. You have to slide to be able to, you have to slide to the bag, but you have to be able to catch the bag with your foot or hand and be able to maintain contact. Stay on the bag that way. And you can't alter your path to the bag to create contact. And you saw from that great shot we had right behind first base that Odor was running a straight path to the inside of the bag, the outside of the bag.
He started his slide in plenty of time.
There's a rule that we have graphically for you.
The only reason there was contact made is because Simmons was 3 feet in front of the bag, right directly in his line.
Yeah, he was on that side of the bag to begin with.
Yeah, he had to come there to get the flip, which was a long flip on a slowly hit ball.
There's the rule for you. If a runner does not engage a bona fide slide and initiates or attempts to make contact with the fielder for the purpose of breaking up a double play, he should be called out for interference. Now, a bona fide slide is the key to that, because a bona fide slide is one that you start early enough. Your slide before the bag, and you don't alter the path to the bag.
If they're going to review it, why didn't they review it in the first place?
It has to be a challenge.
But why wouldn't he challenge it in the first place? Is he challenging it now?
Yeah.
Well, like what were the first 3 minutes for?
I don't know. Maybe he was getting confirmation from his video review.
You see, Simmons catches the ball right directly in his path. Now, maybe he'll say he lifted his arm up. I mean, if I'm Ruge, I'm putting my arm there just to block the knee from hitting me in the face.
Well, contact, though, is supposed to be below the knee. So that could be a bone of contention. And we'll have to see how that's ruled. But most of the time they're talking about your legs. But if you make contact above the knee, supposedly that's grounds for illegal contact. But the headset's on. Replay Command Center back in New York will have a look at this and render a decision. Dale Scott, the crew chief and second base umpire who made that call. Of course,
if that turns out to be an illegal slide, then that's just one more example of why the rule needs to be altered a little bit, fine-tuned. That's about as clean a slide as you can make right there.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
And still make some attempt to break up the double play.
Right.
He puts his hand up. Look where the knee is. If he doesn't put his hand up, that knee is going to hit him right in the face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the new rule and how that's interpreted. Good.
Okay. Yeah. So it's a legal slide. No illegal contact, and it goes down as a fielder's choice.
Yeah, that was a waste of 5 minutes. I just didn't understand the rather lengthy discussion with the umpire before they asked for a challenge.
Must have been slow getting the information from upstairs as to whether you should challenge it or not. I'm not sure. I can't tell you. So 1 out. Mazara now at first base in place of Rougned Odor. And Adrian Beltre takes high for ball 1. Beltre, although not hitting for a great average against Santiago, just .258, does have 3 home runs in his career, and he has also chipped in 3 doubles in those 8 hits. Two balls and no strikes. And maybe the offshoot of the lengthy appeal out there will be that Santiago gets a little bit out of his rhythm. It'll be a double whammy for Mike Scioscia. lose your challenge and also get your pitcher messed up. Saw Adrian overall this year, outstanding numbers. .298, tied for the team high with 3 home runs and 13 RBI. Ahead of the count here, 3 balls and no strikes. And the man that's leading the Rangers in RBI is in the on-deck circle. That would be Prince Fielder. Santiago back with a 3-0 pitch. 3-1.
He didn't throw the fastball on a 3-0 pitch. Barely caught the inside corner with it.
Well, that's the good news is he got an off-speed pitch over. Bad news is he's got to come up with something else on 2 more pitches if he gets that far. Simmons, little limp line drive takes care of it. Beltre is retired. Mazara staying at first. 2 gone for Prince Fielder. And we'll take a look at the Angel defense. Brought to you by T-Mobile tonight. Calhoun, Trout, and Ortega, right, center, and left in the outfield. Thrown at first, Giovatelli you saw at second. Simmons you saw it short. Junel Escobar at third, and old friend Giovanni Soto behind the plate. Hector Santiago make making the start here tonight. He has 2 outs, a runner on. Prince Fielder, a 190 average, steps in. 0-1. Couple of home runs for Fielder, 15 RBI, and you can see against Santiago, 250 overall average. Prince out in front of that, got good wood on it, but pulled it well foul. Well, the count goes to 0-2. We talk about hitters having reverse splits, and Santiago, in some respects, has reverse splits. He has always been able to get right-handed hitters out better than left-handers. Last year, he held right-handed hitters to a 191 average, and left-handers at 235. 1-2 now. Santiago, formerly with the Chicago White Sox, came over to the Angels as part of a 3-way deal with the White Sox, the Diamondbacks, and the Angels. Hector Ortiz talking to Nomar Mazara over there as they read the signs from across the diamond. And Giovanni Soto looking into Mike Scioscia for some guidance. Right to Crone at the bag, and that will do it. Well, the Rangers get a leadoff single from Odor, but Santiago settles down. No runs, a hit, 1 man left. After 1, no score in Arlington. Game is on AFN, the Armed Forces Network, broadcasting to U.S. Armed Forces serving around the world on land and on ships at sea. We'd like to welcome all of you and thank you very much for your service to our country. Cole Calhoun starting things off here in a scoreless ball game, top of the 2nd inning. And first ball swinging, it's out of play off Colby Lewis. Well, the Angels apparently making an adjustment from what they saw in their video scouting. They haven't seen Colby Lewis this year, but remember that Colby a couple of times against Seattle and against Houston, guys tried to ambush him early in the count, and Colby making the adjustment also. Odor for out number 1. And before Andrelton Simmons comes up, let's welcome in Jim Knox. Jim?
All right, appreciate it, Buzz. It is South Lake night here at Globe Life Park. Great to have the South Lake folks in the stands tonight. And also, yes, how about the Potts family coming in from Clovis, New Mexico? How long of a drive is that?
We drove in for about 8 hours to make it here tonight. Yes,
all right, good to have you here. Girls probably had a couple of ice cream stops along the way, right? Huh? There we go. All right, good to have you guys here. Enjoy the game, Buzz.
All right, Doxy, thank you. Andrelton Simmons' first ball swinging, and that's something that he will do virtually every time up. He loves to swing the bat early in the count. Doesn't strike out very much, doesn't walk very much, and doesn't see very many pitches. So on one pitch, he is at first base with the second Angel hit of the night.
Yeah, and as often as he swings, he's one guy on the first pitch. You probably want to make a worse pitch than that if he's going to swing at it anyway. Don't get it anywhere near the strike zone.
Well, Simmons now at first. Here's C.J. Cron, the first baseman, hitting down in the order. He's down at 7th, and that 180 batting average, pretty much the reason he's dropped down by Mike Scioscia. Off to a tough start, although one of the hitters that's starting to turn things around. He has had very good success against Colby Lewis and very good success against the Rangers in general. He had 20 runs driven in against Ranger pitching last year. Up the middle, Odor is there. Going to be an easy 4-3 double play. Thank you very much.
There's the shift in action.
Double play number 33 for the Rangers, the most in baseball. One hit, nobody left. Inning and a half in the books. Rangers nothing, Angels nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. Ian Desmond starting things off for the Rangers here in the bottom of the second. It'll be Desmond, Moreland, and Andrews against Hector Santiago. Ian Desmond now with that average up to 213. And he pops the next pitch up. Cron and Giovatello, the second baseman, puts it away. That is out number 1. And Santiago did a pretty good job changing speeds that time against Desmond.
Yeah, he's got a good changeup. It looks just like his fastball, about 8 miles an hour slower. He's thrown a couple of them and got hitters up right off the end of the bat with it. Pitches that look like a fastball, but forces you to swing a little bit early.
Well, one away. Here's Mitch Moreland now. Mitch had the double day off, had a day off on Wednesday night against the Yankees, and everybody had the day off yesterday. Jeff Bannister explaining tried to do that. Got the same thing done with Fielder, although Prince pinch hit on Wednesday night. But he didn't feel like that was diminishing the back-to-back off days. Said he's doing the same thing in essence with Delino DeShields, getting him back-to-back off days. Delino out of the lineup tonight. Good to see Tony Beasley, Ranger coach, sitting on the bench there right next to Jeff Bannister. Tony, of course, going through some cancer treatments, in between treatments right now. He go back down to Houston, do that for the next several weeks, what I understand. But everything progressing well. Tony, always a big smile on him. He's a very upbeat guy, and he's battling his heart out with the support of everybody around him. Everybody in that Ranger clubhouse and front office. Still a ball and 2 strikes to Mitch. Moreland 2 out of 6 in the first 2 games of the series against the Yankees. Two and two now. Rangers, we talked about the offensive downturn, facing a guy tonight in Hector Santiago, who has given teams fits this year. The Rangers, in the last 6 ball games, hitting just .215 as a team. And Mitch waiting nicely on that off-speed pitch. Just pokes it right back up the middle for a base hit.
Yeah, Mitch gets pitched that way a lot of off-speed pitches. And so it's important for him to develop the ability to wait on that pitch just like he did. That was a pretty good pitch. It's actually about 6 inches outside. Shows you the kind of plate coverage that Mitch has. But he timed it well, hit it hard, right back through the middle.
Well, Moreland with the second Ranger hit of the night. He is at first with 1 out. Here's Elvis. Elvis, the hottest Ranger hitter going right now. 343 the average. 13 RBI. We talked about in our pregame remarks about Elvis, about how this year compared to last year, and there is no comparison. And he has played extremely good baseball, both with the glove and with the bat. Not much success, though, as you can see, against Santiago in the past, just a 172. And he takes that pitch on the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. So Elvis semi-questioning look back to Bob Davidson. Bob, not the kind of umpire you want to make too big a deal out of a pitch you thought was not what he called. Let's say that he enforces the respect from the hitters and pitchers. Well, our TXU Energy power player to watch, and the man right in there on your screen, Elvis Andrus. 3 triples this season. That's the most in the American League. He has 3 triples the last 2 seasons combined, 2014 and 15. He only had 3 total. So 3 already, and those 3 triples have come in the last 7 days. Calhoun shading Elvis that way. Out number 2. Moreland back to first, and that'll bring up Ryan Rua. Rua, 273 average as he steps to the plate. Had some success against Santiago, although only 8 at bats, but still 3 hits. And he's been tattooing left-handers pretty much the same clip. He's 6 out of 14 this year against left-handed pitching. He's also had good numbers against the Angels in his career. A 310 overall average in 12 ball games. He has driven in 7 and hit 2 home runs. Moreland inching off the bag at first. That foul ball evens the count at a ball and a strike. Well, the Rangers a half game ahead in the American League West. They're a half game ahead of the Seattle Mariners. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Angels a game behind. Rangers come in at 12 and 10. The Angels at an even 11 and 11. Two and 1. Rangers, as we mentioned, split the 4-game series out in Anaheim. It was the first road series of the year for the Rangers.
Yeah, the Angels have been playing well. They came off a 3-game sweep of Kansas City.
Long run for Calhoun. That ball way up in the air, and Calhoun there in time, and that will do it. Oh, 1-out single to Mitch Moreland. He is stranded. Rangers have left 2 on board now. We played 2 at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Rangers and Angels scoreless on Fox Sports Southwest.
Park in Arlington. A beautiful night for baseball as we head to the 3rd inning, and a very special night for the Miracle League of Southlake a couple of nights ago, as the Texas Rangers Baseball Foundation Fantasy Baseball Camps for Kids and also some Rangers alumni hosted a very special event. Here is Tammy Apley with what it meant to the members of that organization.
So the Texas Rangers offered to do a baseball camp for us and for our kids, and we thought it was a great opportunity for these kids to come out and actually play with the big leagues. And actually, it's, I think, been more special for the parents than it has been the kids to be able to see their kids actually get to do something that all the other kids get to do.
And a home run there for the Angels. But back to our story. If you have not been to a Miracle League game, I would highly suggest it, guys. Went to one a couple weeks ago right over here on Randall Mill, and it was a really great experience.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, that's a lot of fun to go watch those kids have a ball playing with the big guys. Now, Giovanni Soto in an Angel uniform in this ballpark goes deep off of Colby Lewis, and the Angels take a 1-0 lead. Giovanni Soto with his 2nd home run of the year. Colby kind of hung a slider to him, didn't quite get down or away, and now Johnny Giovatelli getting a pitch out away from him and lines a single to left field. So the leadoff home run followed by a single to left. Now back to the top of the order for Junel Escobar.
There's the hanger right down the middle of the plate. Giovanni looks great. Looks like he's lost some weight. Puts a nice swing on that hanger. And Giovatelli 5 for 9 against Colby now. Chips in with a base hit. In the 3-game sweep in Kansas City, the Angels hit 7 home runs. Prior to that, they'd only had 13. So they've started to swing the bats a little bit better. I think anytime you go into Kansas City and win 3 straight, you have to be playing some pretty good baseball.
On the outside corner to Escobar for strike 1.
Take that back. That was in Anaheim. I won't back down from what I said, though. You beat Kansas City 3 straight. You still played good baseball.
I don't care if it's in Guadalajara.
This is the start of their road trip, though. Thank you for that, Buzz.
Sure. It'll twist back and out of play, and very quickly the count at 0-2 against Escobar. Escobar hit the ball right on the nose his first time up and lined out to center field. He and Desmond got a great jump on it. Kind of a little bit half of a leap on a catch. Escobar, you can see one of the Angels has picked up 417 in the last 3 ball games with a home run, and he has driven in a run, hitting at the top of that order. Giovatello at first, nobody out here in the 3rd inning. 1-2. A check of first and back to the plate. This one will stay in play as Mazzara toward the line has room. That is out number 1. And before Rafael Ortega steps to the plate, let's send it over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you. Here at Globe Life Park, the Angels have taken a 1-0 lead. Giovanni Soto's leadoff home run here in the 3rd. And Rafael Ortega up for his 2nd at bat. That home run, by the way, the 7th allowed this year by Colby Lewis. Ortega, kind of a career minor leaguer, has had a couple of opportunities, once with Colorado, now with the Angels, to play at the big league level. And he's 9 years in the minor leagues. He's hit almost 290. Just has never found a spot to keep him in the big leagues for any length of time.
One of those guys just looking for a chance.
Yep.
Proving himself in the minor leagues.
And our Ford leaderboard showing you that among rookies, Ortega is trailing the Rangers' Nomar Mazara. The hit and run is on. Beltre will field the ball in foul territory, and we'll come back and reset at a ball and a strike.
Ortega had the hole to shoot at. Elvis was going over to cover. Shortstop was vacant. Not much he could do with the pitch, though.
Mike Scioscia, one of those managers that is not at all opposed to putting on back-to-back hit and runs if one of them fails. He just, once he gets that idea going, you never know. Ortega swing and a miss there. It's 1-2. But I guess the conventional book says no, you don't do that, and Scioscia says no, that's not my conventional book.
Ball bounced out in front of home plate. He's trying to hit that thing on a bounce.
Ortega back in the box. Fly to left field, his first time to the plate. Two and two now. A stop by Brian Holiday back there. Say one thing about the Ranger catching right now with Brian Holiday and Brett Nicholas. They are both very good at blocking pitches. Technically very good. They both throw extremely well. Good defensive catchers all the way around, and that's a great attribute to have back there. Odor, Andrews, and that's all they'll get. Ball just too far off of right at Odor to be able to turn it. But they get the lead runner, Giovatello, erased. Ortega now at first base with 2 outs for Mike Trout.
Elvis did the right thing by not throwing the ball. It's a long throw. Rougned has to turn his body. He throws a little bit low and into the runner. I think if that throw was high and on the other side of second base, Elvis might have had a chance to throw the ball. But based on where it was, take your 1 out. Don't risk a bad throw to first base. Tough play to turn 2 on.
Yeah. Well, now the guy you want to be careful with in this lineup, not that you don't want to be careful with anybody else, but Trout is the one guy that's extremely hot right now. And with his track record, when you get a guy like him that's hot, look out. Not good. Over his last 14 games, he's hit .350. He takes a breaking ball for strike 1. Yeah, we all know what he's done against the Rangers. 86 career games. Trout has hit .333. Another good slider. 0-2. That includes a .385 average over his last 23 games. There are the totals: 87 games, 16 home runs, 87 RBI. Colby out on top of the count, 0-2. Had him reaching for it and into center. Long run in for Desmond, but it's high enough that gives Ian the chance to get there. He does, and that'll do it. But Giovanni Soto leads off the inning with his second home run of the year. Angels strand a runner. We're going to the bottom of the third. The Angels won, the Rangers nothing. Rangers baseball live with the MLB.com at-bat app. You can stay up to the moment at any moment with game day and live video game highlights, StatCast, news, and a whole bunch more. Just download MLB.com at-bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone or your tablet. Brian Holliday, the #9 hitter, starting things off here in the Ranger third inning against Hector Santiago. The Angels now have given Santiago a 1-run advantage. Holliday, 188 average. The TCUX fouls it off to the first base side. 0-2. Holliday making his 9th start behind the plate for the Rangers tonight. Lofts a lazy fly ball to right. Calhoun, 1 out. Now back to the top of the Ranger order. Rougned Odor opened things up by smacking a single right back through the middle his first time. This for Odor, his 5th opportunity to lead off in Jeff Bannister's lineup. Last 14 games now, Odor hitting right at 300. Elvis, his double play partner, right on that top railing. Big breaking ball. 0-2. Now the Angels again utilizing a shift with Odor up there.
I was listening to Santiago do an interview on satellite radio the other day. He was talking about how many pitches he throws. Says he throws actually 6 different pitches.
Long run for Ortega, and he goes into a slide to make the catch. Ortega shading toward left center, had a long way to go, but able to make the play for out number 2.
Not many pitchers throw a screwball anymore. The guys will throw a pitch that tails away, but a true screwball where you make it spin to curve the other way. He does throw a screwball. I don't think he uses it very often in a game. And he talked about, with those 6 pitches, trying to find the ones that are working the best and concentrate on them. And he has a good changeup. Sneaky fastball, breaking balls to go along with it.
A strike to Mazzara.
There's a changeup for strike 1.
Yeah, you say screwball, and I immediately think of Mike Marshall, who you played with.
Yeah, he had a good one.
And that was, his looked like a left-hander's curveball.
Yeah. The other guy that threw a good screwball was Mike Cuellar.
Yeah.
Threw a really good screwball. And I guess you don't see many of them. It's a great pitch, but it must be very difficult to make your arm make the ball curve the other way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pitch that, let's put it this way, takes a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Outside to Nomar.
Does it put undue pressure on your arm?
I would think so. Mike Marshall had all kinds of explanations for it. Matter of fact, I think he had a doctorate in kinesiology, and he taught it for a while about how to develop your arm to be able to make it do that. Put it in a position to throw a good screwball. I don't know if he ever developed anybody that was as good at it as he was. It looked like Popeye. His forearms were about the size of most guys' calves.
I know recently, within the last 5 years, he's coached a type of motion from his pitchers that look like an Iron Mike, where the guy comes straight over the top. Almost like a pitcher in a cricket game. Haven't seen any of them matriculate on up to the big leagues, so not sure how well it's working.
No, I'm sure if you talk to Mike that he would have about a half hour's worth of an explanation for it and why it works. And
yeah, he's a little smarter than the rest of us, that's for sure.
Yeah. Another 2-2 pitch. Well, great job by Mazzara. You talk about developing a skill to foul off tough pitches, and Mazzara's developed that already. Has that quick, short stroke. Plus having great hand-eye coordination, I would think, and have a lot to do with that.
Sure does.
3-2. Oh, with 2 outs now, Mazzara trying to reach base in front of Adrian Beltre, Ranger number 3 hitter. Payoff pitch on the way. We'll try it again. 8 pitch at bat already. Now Santiago trying to figure out what he's going to do for number 9. I don't think this is a particularly good matchup for Santiago, even though it's left-hander against left-hander. I don't think he has a pitch that he can just throw by Nomar Mazzara in any place. And when you don't have that, and you don't really have a slow breaking ball, you're kind of limited velocity-wise and movement-wise. And Mazzara is up there fighting everything off. He's probably pretty comfortable that he can't have the fastball thrown by him.
Yeah, especially that last one was about a foot outside.
Yeah.
Well, I do know how he reached it. He's tall, lanky, and has long arms.
You got about a 10-foot wingspan. Look at that thing.
You see the catcher, how far he had to reach. Giovanni reached to his left.
Got him looking there on a pitch that just caught the top of the strike zone, and that'll do it. First 1-2-3 inning of the evening. Rangers gone in order. We have finished 3 at Globe Life Park. It's the Angels 1, the Rangers nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Folks, it's a fun-filled weekend, and this weekend is Captain and Friends Mascot Weekend, and the fun continues tomorrow night. Rangers play the Angels. The first 7,500 kids, 13 and under, get a Rangers Captain's T-shirt jersey. That's presented by Fanatics. You get your tickets at TexasRangers.com, or if you prefer, you can call 972-RANGERS. And in case you were wondering what that fine apparel would look like, our stage manager, Allie, is showing you. Thank you, Allie. Headsets not included. What's on the back? Oh, yeah, got Rangers captain on the back. Albert Pujols, a 2-1 count, leading things off. And Colby, there was the captain, missing down and away. Pujols grounded into a fielder's choice back in the first. To center field, and they got him out in his front foot a little bit. And Ian Desmond camps underneath it. Out number 1.
Name of the game, throwing something other than a fastball and a fastball count. Pujols looking to put a charge in a fastball. Found himself swinging at something off speed and hit it off the end of the bat.
Yeah, we talked a couple times, Tom, about Colby's ability this year anyway to find, you noticed it a little bit more, take something off the fastball and make it a batting practice speed fastball to actually give him another pitch. Something you can throw on a fastball count that's just a little bit different. I think anytime you can change your repertoire ever so slightly, you give hitters something else to think about. Cole Calhoun hit a ground ball to Odor his first time to the plate. A ball and a strike. Calhoun a .253 average as he stands in. One and two. I don't think Colby really thrilled with the execution on that pitch. I think that was a different location than he would have preferred. But just because you make a mistake doesn't mean something bad's going to happen.
Calhoun's 0 for his last 14, but Rangers have seen him play some pretty nice baseball games, and he had a nice season last year. He's hitting more at the top of the lineup last year. Hit over 20 home runs, though.
Lines this one to right. Mazara coming on, dives and gets it. What a play by Nomar Mazara, picking it right off the turf.
Yeah, that took a good jump and the conviction to stay with it. That was a low line drive. From here, it looked like it was going to fall in front of him. Now, Calhoun hit the ball hard and it carried pretty well. But Nomar gets off the bat quickly and never hesitates and picks it right off the ground. If you hesitate for just a split second on that ball, you're not going to be able to catch it in the air. Very nice job. We've seen Nomar go to his left, his right, come in. Saw him rob Todd Frazier of a home run in Chicago. So he's shown all the plays out there. The concentration. And he also has a nice, strong, accurate throwing arm. So he's doing a nice job in the outfield. Doesn't have above average speed, but he has good instincts and gets the job done nicely out there.
Yeah, his speed may not register among the world's elite, but boy, those long legs and long arms, he covers a lot of ground.
Sure does.
0-2 to Andrelton Simmons. And he is 2 for 2. He got an 0-2 pitch up and banged it right through the hole on the left side. So a 2-out single now. C.J. Cron coming up. Now Simmons, a pair of base hits to left field. You remember in the series out in Anaheim, he hit almost everything to the right side of the diamond. He was struggling a little bit in the early going, and all of a sudden he's spraying the ball around a little more effectively. 5 hits now for the Angels. They lead 1-0. C.J. Cron grounded into a double play. His first time to the plate. Nothing in 1. Pretty good slider that Colby's featuring tonight. He's had a lot of them down and away to right-handers that And really bitten off a chip at that outside corner. And he came back with a fastball on the inside corner.
That's what Crone's thinking right now.
Yeah.
Man, should have gotten that pitch on the first pitch when he swung.
There's that number we talked about, 20 RBI last year. That's the second most in Angels history against the Rangers. Garrett Anderson at 21. Little looping single to center. And as he got to second, Simmons thought better of trying to go to third. You saw Desmond out there get to that ball pretty quickly. But back-to-back singles here with 2 outs. 2 on now for Giovanni Soto.
Catcher Giovanni Soto.
The Angels are a team that this year making pretty good contact. No team in baseball has struck out fewer times than the Angels have. Not necessarily a case that they walk all that much, but have a lot of guys that can expand the strike zone yet still make contact.
And Simmons, who got that base hit, one of the guys who fits in that
category.
He's
definitely one of them.
Yeah, I read that number on 116 strikeouts is all they have through the first part of this year. And this was the Angels were a club, but maybe not among the highest strikeout totals, but they were up there. And with Pujols and Trout, they would tend to strike out. And you throw C.J. Crone in there for a full year and people like that. But they've done a great job this year of making contact. And that really is what's made them an 11-11 ball club. There's a base hit to left by Soto. Round third, Simmons coming in, and Rua's throw is not nearly in time. Soto with his second straight hit, and the Angels take a 2-0 lead.
Well, 2 quick outs, Pujols and Calhoun, and then 3 straight hits. Giovanni Soto off to a good start this year when he gets a chance to play. Soto's only been up 25 times, but he came into the game hitting 300. He's added a home run and now an RBI single. He's had 2 good pitches to hit, and he's ripped them both times.
It looked like both of them sliders. That one was down a little bit, but it stayed in the middle of the plate. The other one was up a bit in that same area of the plate. Doug Rocaille out there quickly to talk to his battery. So after Colby got the first 2 outs reasonably fast here in the 4th, singles to Simmons, Crone, and Soto have pushed across a run. Now Johnny Giovatella, who had a base hit his first time up, will step in. One ball, no strikes. Giovatella last year gave the Rangers fits. Hit .310 against Texas pitching. He had 12 RBI in the 19 games that they played. 2-0.
Giovatella has been up 48 times. He's only walked once. He's only struck out 4 times. Probably not going to take many, and he's not going to miss many. He's taken 3 straight.
Just a little bit low. 3 balls and no strikes now on Giovatella, the number 9 hitter, getting to reach base in front of the leadoff man, Yunel Escobar. Colby with his 53rd pitch of the night, and it's a fastball right down the middle. Colby's total tonight includes 38 strikes, only 15 balls. Fly ball to right, Mazzara with room. And that'll put it in for the Angel 4th inning. They get a run on 3 hits, all of them coming with 2 outs. 3.5 inning in the books, and Nomar Mazzara with a great catch in that 3rd inning. Rangers coming to the bat in the bottom of the 4th. Angels leading 2-0 on Fox Sports Southwest. This season, Section 9 becomes Hamels Heroes, and everyone purchasing a ticket in the Hamels Heroes section receives a t-shirt and a K card. Visit TexasRangers.com/Hamels to purchase your tickets for this Sunday, May 1st. It'll be Cole's return to the rotation. Hamels takes the mound against the Angels. Cole missing the last start with that strained groin muscle. He said it's something that he deals with periodically. Remember, he missed a start last year, but no more than that. Adrian Beltre leading things off. Rangers now find themselves down by a couple to the Angels. Beltre, a little semi-line drive to the shortstop Simmons, his first time up.
Trying to duck down low to make it look higher.
Ducking under
Might
the
have
curve.
worked.
I'm not sure you can get much by Bob Davidson. Balking Bob Davidson. Off the end of the bat.
Another changeup. Rangers had a hard time contending with the changeup tonight.
Well, from what I could see on TV during that series in Chicago, they saw a lot of changeups up there too that were a little difficult to handle.
That was a rope.
Yeah, that wasn't a limp line drive. That
Got
was
away
a
with
smash.
Got away with one there. Trying to throw it out of the strike zone. They were right in Adrian's wheelhouse. Catcher put his glove up high. He wanted to pitch up around the eyes, which might not have mattered anyway to Adrian. But it was right at the top of the strike zone. All it is an out, but it was smoked.
Well, the first out here in the bottom of the fourth. Now Prince Fielder, who grounded to first in the first. Angels going to that exaggerated overshift with three infielders on the right side of the diamond. Only Juno Escobar on the left side. .188 the average for the Ranger designated hitter, Prince Fielder. Outside. Prince sneaking up on a milestone of 1,000 career RBI. He sits at 999 at the moment. Pops this one up. Soto coming over near the on-deck circle, but that is back in the first row. 2 balls and a strike. Talking about Prince Fielder and his 999 RBI. Cold hard fact tonight, a Coors cold hard fact brought to you by Clean Crisp, a Coors Light. 1 RBI to become the 13th active player with 1,000 RBI. Prince and his father, Cecil, who had 1,008, could become just the second father and son combo to reach 1,000 RBI each. The only other combo, Bobby and Barry Bonds. Pretty prolific families. Broken bat, 1 hopper to Crone. Ouch. 2 gone.
Center fielder, Ian Desmond.
And the Prince getting sawed off by Hector Santiago. 2 away bases empty for Ian Desmond. All of a sudden, Santiago has retired the last 7 that he has faced, and 10 out of the last 11. Desmond popped out to second. A pretty good cut at that fastball, but came up empty. Last 9 ball games, Ian Desmond, 379 average. And he will keep that average going on the upswing as he pops one through the right side.
Yeah, we saw that all spring training, and even after a slow start, starting to see that line drive swing, slashing type swing, hitting the ball to all fields. Took that ball down and away, did exactly what you should do with it. Try to line it into right field. Nice short stroke, hard hit ball.
Well, it makes it tough on a pitcher when a guy that is as good a fastball hitter as Ian Desmond is can still tone it down to the point where he can drive it to the opposite field. It makes it very difficult on a pitcher. Mitch Moreland takes high for ball 1. Now, normally a hitter, especially a guy that's a fastball hitter, will give you one side of the plate or the other you can work to, whether it's inside or outside. But Ian Desmond, when he starts driving the ball that's away from him to right field, you already know that he's quick enough inside you can't throw the ball by him, or most people can't. And that kind of takes away your comfort zone. He's going on the first move, and the Angels got him down at second base. Goes 1-3-6 on the caught stealing. Ian Desmond out at second. That'll do it for the Rangers. No runs, a hit, and nobody left. Angels clouding up the stadium as they lead 2-0.
As we head to the top of the 5th and welcome you back to Globe Life Park in Arlington, and we have reached that glorious point in the program where I sample some of the ballpark fare and tell you about some of the glorious new items on the menu here at Globe Life Park. This is the Black Bean Burger, part of the vegan cart that is located outside of Section 16. You can get vegan jerky, you can get vegan hot dogs, black bean burgers, all kinds of good stuff that don't contain animal byproducts. And guys, when I'm not eating junk food, I'm totally eating healthy. So I'm going to give this one a try.
What percentage would you give to either one of them,
I'm
Em?
going to go 80-20.
80-20, that's cool. That's good.
80-20, good.
Good.
Thumbs up to the Black Bean Burger.
Cool.
Good.
Good, healthy option.
Now, what kind of condiments do you use on that burger?
It appears that there's some sort of hummus-looking material. I cannot verify that.
Maybe a secret sauce in there too?
Lettuce, tomatoes, black bean patty, cheese, and I'm going to go with a hummus type material.
Now, where does someone go if they want that burger?
Section 16, the
16.
vegan cart.
Ah, okay.
Yes, vegan chili, vegan spinach wraps, shake it up salads, fresh cut fruit, and more. Tom Grieve, this is a good item for you. I know how healthy you eat.
I'd like to try that.
Check out the vegan cart.
Now, where exactly is Section 16?
That's a really good question.
Like if it's out in center field, I'm not going to make my way out there.
It's far from us.
If it's behind home plate, I might sneak down there.
Isn't that crazy? We've been here for how many ever years and we don't know what section we're in.
I know that's a double play, though.
Yeah, in the meantime, that's 6-4-3. Second run turned tonight by the Rangers. Ortega bounding into that twin killing.
Need to ask Emily, after all the things she's sampled at ballparks the last couple of years, what's number one? Is it still the lobster roll at Fenway Park?
Lobster roll, it's maybe 1 and 1A lobster roll in Boston. And then remember those grilled, that grilled cheese sandwich, pulled pork grilled cheese sandwich in Cleveland.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was good. Those are my top 2,
Cool.
hands down.
Any that got right to the bottom of your list automatically?
Remember that vegan burger I ate out of that vending machine in Boston?
Yeah.
That
So
was,
they had the best and the worst.
listen, yes, our vegan options here at Globe Life Park far better than
Great.
those in Boston.
Great. All you vegans, take heed.
Yeah, and we figured out where the section 16 is. It's in between 15 and 17.
Oh, thanks,
ball to right,
thanks for
and
that,
that'll do
Buzz.
it.
That's good help.
So double play takes care of the hit by pitch. It's a 3-out inning for Colby Lewis. 3 up, 3 down. We'll go to the bottom of the 5th inning. 2-0 Angels. Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines and by Mazda. Now a 2-0 Angels lead as Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Mitch Moreland, who was left standing at home plate as Ian Desmond was picked off first base to end the 4th, will start things off. 1 pitch and a fly ball to left. Out number 1. So Mitch 1 out of 2. Next will be Elvis Andrus.
Shortstop, Elvis Andrus.
Elvis hit a fly ball to right back in the 2nd inning. Elvis now 4 out of 11 on this homestand. Last 14 games, Elvis has hit a robust .380. Came into play tonight at .343. That was 3rd in the American League. One ball and no strikes. Well, this, since Elvis got off to an 0-for-2 start on opening day, he has hit .353 the next 19 games that he's played. And for all the folks that wondered how he would respond from the difficult day in Toronto that he had, the last game the Rangers played, I think his answer is pretty well taken care of by his play.
Yeah, and you know, all of us that know Elvis knew that that was never going to be an issue, but you know, you could see where some people might ask that question. But I think you're definitely right. It's been answered.
That is in at the knees, 2-1.
Santiago's been tough on the Rangers. He pitched against the Rangers 6 times last year. You know, you have 3 series at home, 3 series on the road, so there's the potential to have 6 starts against a team, and he got one every time. Had an ERA of right around 2. Won 3 of those 6 starts.
Elvis back in after the foul ball. 2 balls, 2 strikes to him. Now a full count. So with 1 out, Elvis trying to get aboard any way he possibly can. Ryan Rua in the on-deck circle in that case would come up as the tying run. Santiago with a payoff pitch. Left center field, Ortega and Trout. It'll be Ortega. That is out number 2. And before Rua comes up, let's send it over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. Great, Dana. Thank you. Yeah, go Stars. And go Rangers. See if they can get back into this ball game. Ryan Rua will fly out to right field back in the 2nd inning. After Santiago has really done a great job tonight of changing speeds on pitches that must look very similar come out of his hand to hitters. There have been a few hard hit balls. For the most part, though, guys have been either out in front or a little bit behind Santiago. A crafty veteran, left-hander. Rua drives one to deep left field. Looking up is Ortega. Goodbye.
There's one fastball he didn't fool anybody with. One jumped out of here in a hurry, went all the way to the back of the seats right in front of the restaurant in left field. Well, Ryan, as has been the case virtually every time he played, doing something to help his team win a ball game. Last start, there was some base running that really helped the ball club. Scoring on a ground ball back to the pitcher from third base after taking an extra base. And today he gets the Rangers on the board in a close game with a long home run.
Rua with his first home run of the year, and cut up that thing in a couple of different, you'd have 3 or 4 of them. Put a charge into that ball. Watch the ball jump off his bat.
The bottom of the strike zone on the inside part of the plate, it looked like.
So Rangers cut the lead in half. It's now 2-1 Angels, and Soto going to go out and have a little chat with Santiago. Brian Holiday has gotten ahead of the count, 2-0. Holiday a fly ball to right, his first time. For Santiago, that's the 5th home run that he has allowed this year. Man, that thing just jumped out of here. 2-0 pitch coming. 2-1. Ryan, a 182 average as he awaits. The next pitch is pulled foul, so that evens the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Chop foul. We will try it again. Well, Holiday, the Dallas native, went to W.T. White High School over in Dallas. Went to TCU. He was the top collegiate catcher. He was last year with the Horned Frogs. Got the Johnny Bench Award, signifying that. One hopper back to the mound. That's going to do it. So Ryan Rua gets the Rangers on the board as he crushes his first home run of the year. We have finished 5 here at Globe Life Park. It's now the Angels 2 and the Rangers 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. Concessions out here at Globe Life Park, and they have a big fare to pick from. Rangers enjoying a little bit of their own fare. A little home cooking. They had a home run from Ryan Ruev, cut the Angel lead to 2-1 as Albert Pujols leads off the 6th inning against Colby Lewis. Pujols tonight is grounded into a fielder's choice and skied to center field. 1 ball and 1 strike. Colby back to the plate. And off the glove of Elvis. He may still have a chance. Can't quite get it there quickly enough. And Pujols does not run well, and that's being kind. He's had all kinds of foot and leg problems, and if Elvis kept that a little bit closer to him, it would have been interesting. But Pujols will get the base hit.
Ball just didn't quite stick in the top of his glove. Pujols hit a pitch down and away hard. Elvis kind of knocked it down with the webbing of his glove. Not enough time to make a play, though.
And that will be one of the rare infield hits for Albert Pujols. He doesn't get many of those anymore. Cole Calhoun swinging at a pitch around eye high with no success. 0-1. Calhoun lined to right. An excellent play last time up by Nomar Mazara, coming in to pick a line drive right off the turf top. Calhoun is also grounded to second. 1 ball, 1 strike. Colby looking for that double play. Rangers have already turned 2 behind him tonight. And as a team, Rangers now up to 34 double plays turned this year. Elvis almost directly behind the bag at second with Odor over in the hole. Up the middle off of Colby's glove, but that's going to find its way into center. Pujols puts the brakes on as Desmond gets to the ball in a hurry. A base hit for Calhoun. There are 2 on with nobody out. Andrelton Simmons coming up. And before Simmons steps in, let's say hello to Jim Knox.
I appreciate it, Buzz. This was a scene before the game. The Fox Sports Fan Express rolling in from, well, right around the corner. That's right, the Boys and Girls Club of Arlington in the house tonight. Good to have you guys out here. Y'all having a good time? Yeah! There we go. Okay, good. Brendan, you guys had a nice short bus ride over, huh?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. It was a very good, interesting ride.
All right, well, good. Good to have you guys out here. Anybody want any ice cream tonight? Okay, I think everybody, Buzz.
Knox, are you buying?
I'm buying.
All right, we're in for it, too.
Oh, wait a minute. We missed this little girl. She's too short. How you having a good time? I think so. All right, very good.
Jeff Bannister going out. He wants to talk to the crew chief, Dale Scott. And they are going to appeal something. I'm not sure what it was, to be quite honest.
I was watching Noxie. I wasn't paying any attention.
Mike Scioscia, a rather quizzical look on his face. So
there was no tag on Pujols coming back to the bag, I don't think. Saw the throw. The throw comes in.
His foot come up. It's coming up there.
He's out.
His foot did come off the bag, unless his right foot's touching it.
Yeah, well, could you see his right? I couldn't see his right foot. You wouldn't think both feet would be right on top of the bag like that.
No, unless his right foot was just pushed up against the bag.
The side of it,
maybe. Can't see it from there. A good catch by Bobby Jones and upstairs. And here you may be able to see where his right foot is. The left foot definitely comes off the bag. Right foot is not touching it.
He's out. He's going to be out.
Watch this. Comes up
He's
and
out.
Off. Yep. Yeah, and he is touching it.
That's going to, Mike Scioscia is going to be the most shocked guy in the house if he gets called out on that. It sure looked like it came off.
I don't know if he's going to be more shocked than Albert.
Albert's a little bit worried about it, I think.
Yeah. So, fairly quick decision, and the decision is he is out. Wow.
Scioscia wants to argue this one. He can't believe it.
And Mike Scioscia is going to say, okay, I'm going out there to take care of Albert. I'm not arguing the appeal play because I can't. So,
not much you can say about it.
Nope.
Boy, that's the ultimate of keeping the tag on the runner all the way.
Jeff Anderson saying, yeah, chalk that up to Bobby Jones, I would believe.
That's a great goal. I never even considered that there was going to be a replay on that.
So one big out now with Calhoun at first and Andrelton Simmons, who is 2 for 2, fouls that pitch off.
Most of the plays like that, it's a fairly close play to begin with, and the runner just slides a little bit past the bag. But when a guy is safe and there's really no play, that's very unusual to get an out on a play like that.
Line drive to left, that's playable for Rua. Out number 2.
You know, it obviously changes the whole inning. Maybe Simmons swings, maybe bunts, you don't know, but that's just a huge play with nobody out after 2 base hits.
Dino Ebel, the bench coach, talking to or listening to Albert Pujols.
No, it could be his case. His foot came off by such a fraction that he might not even know what happened.
Exactly.
He might be wondering what in the. I mean, he knows what happened, but he might not have even been able to feel that his foot was off the bag. It wasn't off for very long, but there was no doubt about it.
Yeah, right. And you know, that's one of the things I think, being a veteran like he is around where before replay was even thought of being used, you never even gave that a second thought.
No.
You just didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah, actually, before replay, I don't think you even keep your glove on the runner like that.
And Crone skies out. That'll do it. So an assist to Bobby Jones and the replay crew in the Ranger dugout. No runs, 2 hits, 1 left. And after 5.5, 2-1, Los Angeles. It's time for the Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is $1,900 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Charlotte Elyon from North Richland Hills is going to win $1,900. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Charlotte will take home $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. You know, the Rangers catching a bit of a break. We credited everybody except Rougned Odor. You got to credit him for keeping that glove on.
Yeah, you really do.
Get that tag on Albert Pujols.
Just didn't look like the kind of play where you're going to have that possibility.
Right.
But again, it doesn't hurt to keep your glove on the guy for a few seconds, just in case.
And you see more and more guys now really focusing on doing that, especially on slide plays.
Almost every time now.
They almost follow a guy back to the dugout with their glove on his side. And the pitch inside to Rougned. So he's trying to get a board to start things off. 3 balls, no strikes to count. Nomar Mazara will follow. Rougned a base hit in the first. On a nice play by left fielder Ortega his last time up. And inside, ball 4. There's a leadoff walk.
The start.
Get the Rangers going.
Right fielder, Nomar Mazara.
Well, the tying run at first base now, nobody out, and Nomar Mazara coming up. Santiago walked a total of 8 coming into play tonight in 27 innings. So, not an inordinately high number of walks, pretty much around the plate. Mazara tonight 0 for 2. Little looper to right field. Fooled was Calhoun. He can't get there. He traps it. And into second is Odor. A walk and a looping single. 2 aboard, nobody out, and the big guy's coming up.
Yeah, we've seen Calhoun make so many plays in the outfield. Gold glove outfielder. And when a ball goes up and hangs up in the air like that, you just assume Calhoun's going to catch it. But it was one of those plays where the hitter takes a big swing. You have to pause because in the back of your mind, it looks like he hit it pretty hard. Then by the time it's just a split second, you realize that it was hit off the handle. The all-out dive doesn't get you there in time. All it took was that slight hesitation by an excellent outfielder. And ball fell in for a base hit.
He did a pretty good job keeping that from being a first and third if that ball gets by him.
Yeah, because it bounced a little bit in front of his glove.
So Adrian Beltre up there now. No balls and a strike. Beltre has lined softly to short and lined hard to short. Bluff move to second base. Beltre, despite a little bit of a downturn, just 3 hits in his last 20 at bats, still been hitting with runners in scoring position. He's 3 for 3 in his last 3 opportunities with a runner in scoring position. And he has Rougned Odor out there at second in this at bat. Rangers as a team still second in the American League with a .297 team average. Runners in scoring position. Simmons, they get 1 at second to return in time for the double play. On to third goes Odor, but a big double play turned by the Angels. And now Prince Fielder coming up with 2 outs.
Well, watch how quickly Simmons gets it over to second base with something on it. And it doesn't stay in Giovatella's glove very long either. Nicely turned double play. Simmons regarded by some as the best defensive player in baseball, and at any position. Gives you a little glimpse of it right there, how quickly he got that ball out of his glove.
Yeah, the first 5 games of this season series, we've seen him showcase that arm a couple of times. He's got a great arm. Good range. The conference out there at the mound now about what they're going to do with Prince Fielder. While we have a moment here, our Kubota power stats tonight, talking about Hector Santiago. 183 opponent average with runners in scoring position. That's best among active pitchers. Allowed 1 hit in 17 at bats in these situations, including tonight. Santiago wants to talk to Giovanni Soto one more time. Now, Prince Fielder, the mentality of a run producer, and this is the kind of situation that he will make adjustments. Angels, and I think as a result of that, don't have Simmons over on the first base side of second. He's at the normal shortstop spot. 1 ball, 1 strike. Soto is, I should say, Fielder has shown the inclination and the ability to drive the ball the other way when he gets a runner in scoring position. He's got the tying run down at third, and Rougned Odor. 2 balls and a strike. Time called again. Soto going to visit with Santiago. The Angels 2 runs on 9 hits tonight. Rangers 1 run on 5 hits. First time that Santiago has had to deal with multiple runners on base since the first inning. Three and 1. Well, Santiago being careful and Prince being patient. If Prince takes the walk or gets aboard, you have Ian Desmond. Menacing figure. He will be next. Three balls and a strike. Pulled to second and through for a base hit. In to score Odor. Prince Fielder does it again. His 16th RBI of the year. We are back even. It is 2-2.
He has a knack for finding a hole. Not a real hard hit ball, but with the shift on, a ground ball to straightaway second base ends up as an RBI single. Put the bat on the ball and score that run. That's what it's all about.
That is RBI number 1,000 for Prince Fielder.
Pretty good pitch. Not a strike. But he found a hole with it.
Yeah, and he has said time and time again in his couple of years here with the Rangers that that's what his job is. He doesn't care about all the other things, the home runs and the batting average and all that stuff. He said he's paid to drive in runs, and he's done it as well as anybody. 1,000 career RBIs now for Fielder. So he and his dad Cecil both over 1,000 RBI. Out of play to the right, the count moves to 0-2 for Ian Desmond. And the authenticator from Major League Baseball making sure that that 1,000th RBI ball is properly marked and authenticated. 0-2. Desmond last time up shot a hard hit ball to right field for a base hit. 1 out of 2 tonight. You know, whipping around that left wrist or left hand, like the wrist kind of got him on that last swing, or maybe the swing before. Don't see Ian Desmond take many soft swings. He's up there letting that bat head fly. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Santiago agrees with Soto. 2-2. Santiago now approaching that 100 pitch level, and inning by inning you'll see that been pretty consistent. 16-17 the norm. Check swing, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Oh, Desmond has gone from 0-2 to 3-2. It'll give Prince Fielder an opportunity to take off with this full count pitch. Santiago dealing to Desmond. He has Mitch Moreland, the left-handed hitter, in the on-deck circle. Brent's on the move, payoff pitch, ripped by the third baseman down the left field line. Fielder chugging around second. He is headed for third. He's being waved home. Simmons has the relay throw to the plate. It's wide. Fielder in safely. The throw back, not in time. Ian Desmond, an RBI double. The Rangers have a 3-2 lead. This place is going crazy.
Oh, they love seeing the big guy go around the bases. He had a head start on the 3-2 pitch, but he was going with every bit of speed he could muster, and he scored with a slide. Simmons' throw was a little bit off the mark, and Desmond just ripped that ball by Escobar at third base. That was a rocket. Pitch down and in, and what a nice swing and what a rope. Well, the Rangers, a couple of big 2-out hits. Escobar really didn't have much time. The ball is picked up quickly by Ortega. Might have had a shot at the plate if Simmons' throw was perfect, but it wasn't.
Got all kinds of base running coaches over there saying, go, go, go.
Rudy put on a pretty nice cheerleader's move right there.
Hanser Alberto must have been working with him a little bit.
Yeah.
Alberto's the king of that stuff. Well, Prince Fielder all the way around from first, and a double and an RBI for Ian Desmond, who drives in his 9th run of the year and gives the Rangers the lead. Desmond now at third, still 2 outs. Rangers doing the damage with 2 outs. Mitch Moreland, 1 out of 2 tonight. Ball 1. Mitch had a base hit to center in the 2nd inning. Mike Scioscia trying to figure out what exactly to do. His starting staff has really been the strength of his team this year, pitching-wise. The bullpen has been depleted. Houston Street had to go on the disabled list with an oblique strain. Cam Bedrosian called up, but they are basically a guy short down there from what Scioscia's used to dealing with. Joe Smith has taken over the closer's role, and Smith had been either a 7th or 8th inning guy for him and done a great job.
Yeah, the Angels can have an effective bullpen depending on how the guys are throwing, but they don't have one of those power bullpens that you see so frequently in the league now, where several guys throwing out hard.
Mitch Moreland drives in a 2-out run. His 2nd hit of the night. Desmond scores 4-2 Rangers.
Well, the first 2 hits were soft ones. Mazzara dumped one into right. Prince rolled one through the infield. The last 2 balls have been smoked by Desmond and Moreland. 2 balls have gone to the right of Giovitella as he shaded the left-hand hitters toward first base. Both those ground balls were hit to straightaway second base. One by Prince to drive in a run, and this one by Mitch to drive in a run. 3 straight RBI hits.
And the Moreland base hit is going to be the last that Santiago gives up. But Mitch really stinging the ball. His 2 hits tonight. And Moreland with his 8th RBI of the year, Desmond scoring, and that's going to drive Hector Santiago from the game. So Mike Scioscia out to the mound. He will make the call to the bullpen. Santiago out. Bedrosian coming on. We'll take a break. Be back right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. with 3 here in the bottom of the 6th inning. And Cricket Wireless showing something to smile about. And there's plenty to smile about here. The cheerleaders are out on that Ranger bench. That is an acrobatic move by Rougned Odor, getting it done. Trying as hard as they possibly could to get the big man, Prince Fielder, all the way around from first on that double. And then Rougned cooling him off. That's a teammate for you.
Hey, here comes a little water, just in case.
So Santiago giving up 3 consecutive runs scoring, 2-out base hits. And he gives way to Cam Bedrosian. Bedrosian, the 24-year-old right-hander out of Georgia. He is the son of former big league closer Steve Bedrosian. Here's Elvis, who takes outside for ball 1. Cam Bedrosian just called up to take the place on the roster of Houston Street. Salt Lake City this year, the AAA affiliate of the Angels, 1-0 and 8 1/3 innings of work for Bedrosian. A ball and a strike. Elvis 0 for 2. Fly ball to left, fly ball to right. Now Mitch Moreland at first, 2 outs. 3 runs across for the Rangers. 2-1. Good look at the defensive alignment. You remember the series out in Anaheim. The Angels, the first team that we saw that put the shift on for Elvis, where they had 3 infielders on the left side of the diamond. You know, apparently their numbers have changed since that series in Anaheim. They're no longer doing it, and probably change it with the right-hander Bedrosian on the mound, who throws pretty hard.
Yeah.
2-2 to Elvis. Now, it all started this inning with a leadoff walk to Rougned Odor. Mazara singled in the double play for the second out. Prince Fielder with a big base hit brought home the first run. Ian Desmond doubled him home. Mitch Moreland singled home Desmond. Some aggressive base running in the inning, some timely hitting, some timely 2-out hitting. And that's been a pretty consistent part of the Ranger offense, that timely base hit and with 2 outs. 2-2 the count. Full count. So with this one, Mitch Moreland will get the advantage of a running start. Elvis hitting 7th in the order, trying to keep things going for Ryan Rua. Rangers now 4 runs on 8 hits tonight. The Angels with 2 runs on 9 hits. Moreland on the move, payoff pitch, high ball 4, and that'll bring up Rua. We'll take a look at our AT&T high-speed internet replay. And Ryan Rua last time up, oh, he really clocked one out of here all the way to the back of the bleachers out there in left field. Rua, his first home run of the year, a no-doubter.
He got a nice smooth swing. He's got some power behind it too.
Talk about high-speed replay. That ball got out of here at high speed. Took about a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and turned it into 110 going the other way. 1 ball, no strikes. Ryan with that home run now, a .286 average. 2 RBI. Has Moreland out at second, Andrus at first. So more Rangers ready to cross home plate.
Couldn't get his fastball over, so he tried something else. Got the breaking ball over.
Moreland inching off the bag at second. And Simmons and Giovatelli pretty well spread out away from second base. Chopped slowly to third. It's a fair ball. And Escobar steps on third, and that will do it. But the Rangers put 3 on the board. They get 3 runs on 4 hits and a couple of walks. And Prince Fielder scoring all the way from first on Desmond's 2-out double. We'll go to the 7th inning. Rangers leading by 2 over the Angels. It was all Angels early and all Giovanni Soto early. Soto with his solo home run in the 3rd inning got Los Angeles on top. Ryan Rua able to answer with his first home run of the year, a blast to left field. That made it a 2-1 ball game. Then the fireworks started. Ian Desmond blisters one down the left field line. Prince all the way from first base scores to give the Rangers the lead. And then a base hit would score Desmond to make it a 4-2 ball game. And Colby Lewis gets the first out here in the 7th inning as Giovanni Soto flies out. And so Colby Lewis, for the first time this year, has gone more than 6 innings even.
Yeah, he's only thrown 73 pitches. Desmond's yelling for it. I got it. I got it. And Nomar just barely gets out of the way to avoid it. That's when Nomar's calling for the ball, but he has to defer to the center fielder. When the center fielder calls, the other outfielder gets out of the way.
And Giovatelli takes a knee-high strike. I guess one thing you worry about too with Desmond, who's not played a lot of center field out there, will he take charge? And it looked like he obviously did.
He did.
But communication has to be a little bit, well, something they have to work on.
Yeah, you can run into a little bit of a problem if both guys are screaming, "I've got it," at the same time. Might not hear the other one, but the center fielder assumes if he's yelling for it, that the other outfielder is going to get out of the way and he's going to take it. And that happened, but a little bit too close to contact.
A ball and 2 strikes. Giovatelli a single back in the 3rd inning and a fly ball to right. Yeah, Colby Lewis has been just outstanding tonight. 75 pitches is it. He works here with 1 out in the 7th inning. His previous 4 starts, all of them 6 innings. Mazara coming on, playing a little bit shallow anyway, and Giovatelli lines to right for out number 2. Folks, join the Texas Rangers May 14th and 15th. It's a fun-filled weekend of baseball in celebration of Play Ball Weekend. Enjoy guest appearances from your favorite Rangers alumni and learn the game of baseball in a relaxed setting from Texas Rangers youth ballpark coaches. Participants will also receive a bat and ball gift set and a 2016 ticket voucher. Just log on to texasrangers.com/playball to RSVP for this free event. 2 up, 2 down in the top of the order for the 4th time tonight against Colby. And Tony Barnett beginning to loosen in the Ranger bullpen. A little number foul. It's 1 ball and 1 strike to Escobar. Escobar hit by a pitch his last time. Other than that, a couple of fly balls to center. Escobar waiting. Colby Lewis to the line. Line drive to right. Right at Mazzara. A very quick and tidy 1-2-3 inning. Colby Lewis putting up a shutdown inning. Rangers leading 4-2. And now let's join Chuck Morgan as he introduces God Bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise? And now, in honor of the servicemen and women stationed at home and around the world, we invite everyone in Globe Life Park to join in singing God Bless America.
In Arlington, Rangers up on the Angels by a score of 4-2. We saw some very aggressive base running there in the 7th inning, or 6th inning rather, by Prince Fielder. Banny says they're always looking for that extra 90.
Anytime you could chew up that extra 90, we call them free 90s really, and when you start adding them up over the course of the year and you look at any given game, and when you're on the plus side of those free 90s, you typically, your winning percentage skyrockets to about that 75 to 80% range.
And so the Rangers haven't exactly had the best luck as far as stealing bases is concerned, but Banny says the focus is on being aggressive on the base paths overall. That doesn't just mean stealing bases. It means going first to third, scoring, on a double. Any way you can score by being aggressive on those base paths. What we saw from Prince Fielder there is what they're looking for to encompass that entire philosophy, guys.
All right, Ann, thanks very much. Well, the foul pop by Brian Holiday, that's the last pitch that Cam Bedrosian will throw tonight. Greg Malley, the left-hander, is coming in from the bullpen. And we will take a break here at Globe Life Park. The Rangers leading the Angels 4-2. Pregame set at Globe Life Park. The first 7,500 kids 13 and younger will receive a Prince Fielder wiffle ball and bat set. That's courtesy of McDonald's. You can find your tickets at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS if you prefer. Greg Malley just turned 23 years of age. He is a Southern California product. Born and raised in Westminster, right down the road from Angel Stadium. Went to University of Santa Barbara. 15th round pick by the Angels back in 2014. He zipped right through the minor league system. On now to face the top of the order, Rougned Odor.
We were just talking about that the other day, the submarine pitchers. You don't see as many of them left-handed as you do right-handed, but here's one.
Yep. Odor tonight, 1 out of 2 with a walk.
Oh, that wasn't submarine.
A versatile submariner.
Was that the same delivery, or was that a different one?
A little bit different.
I thought it was, too.
That's from down under.
Yeah, it's close.
The second one, he may come up a little bit when he throws the breaking ball. You see some guys that do throw from down there do that in an effort to get a little downward tilt on the breaking ball. Otherwise, you're throwing like Darren O'Day, and it's a riser. Simmons, quick throw, nice dig by C.J. Cron. That is out number 2, and before Nomar Mazara comes up, we're going to send it back over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break.
Oh.
12-run inning. That's pitching coach's nightmare. Unless you happen to be on the team that's scoring 12 runs. Well, 2 away. Nomar Mazara, a base hit in 3 trips. 0-1. Nomar with a base hit now, right at where he began things with a batting average at .345. Nothing and 2. Malley looks like until you see him a couple times, he can give left-handers a pretty tough time. That breaking ball down and away. Oh, it almost reminds you a little bit of Alex Claudio from the Rangers. He throws a little more submarine than Alex does, but
the funny thing is, left-hand hitters are 4 for 11 against him. Doesn't look like that should be the case. Right-hand hitters are 1 for 10, so go figure that out.
Changeup, the great equalizer, the changeup. Sam Dyson looks like he's ready in that Ranger bullpen. Brad Holman keeping track of the number of warm-up tosses that Dyson uncorks. Up the middle, it'll be a tough play for Simmons near the bag. Off-balance throw, and he got him. That's some arm strength from Andrelton Simmons. So that'll do it, a 1-2-3 inning, despite the pitching change. Rangers gone in the 7th. We'll move on to inning number 8. Rangers still on top, 4-2.
Time for the Progressive Fan of the Game. We're in the upper deck. I was down at field level, and then when Rubnet came up to bat, I heard Ryan going, what? A theater teacher from Dallas, 25 years season ticket holder. There you go, Progressive Fan of the Game. Way to go, Ryan. I think Rubnet heard you all the way from home plate. One last note there. Good job, Ryan. Way to go, Buzz.
We don't have O'Day anymore, but we have Odor.
Yep.
That'll work.
Actually, he's going to run him out of breath. He's starting to turn red a little bit. Well, Sam Dyson has been summoned from the bullpen to take over here in the 8th inning. So Colby Lewis, 7 very good innings, 9 hits, but only 2 runs. He did not walk a hitter. He did not strike out a hitter tonight.
I bet you Colby hasn't had many starts like that. No walks, no strikeouts.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Probably had a few with no walks, but not many with no strikeouts. A lot of soft fly balls to the outfield today.
Yeah, he gives way to the 27-year-old right-hander out of Tampa, Florida, Sam Dyson. Over the mound, Elvis going to have to hurry. And on the run, he gets it.
Nice play.
Nice play by Elvis to get Rafael Ortega. Big out to start this 8th inning.
That's definitely a big out because you don't want nobody out and a man on for Trout, Pujols, Calhoun. That's the heart of the lineup right here. Yeah, he had to catch it on the small hop too. It didn't bounce up to him, which made it more difficult. But Elvis has been playing solid defense in April.
So 1 away. Here's Trout. Trout 1 for 3 tonight. A first inning single. He's going to shoot one down the right field line. That is going to be trouble into the corner. And Trout with very good speed is not stopping it. Yes, he is too. He is now anyway, as Mazzara dug the ball out of that corner very quickly. So Trout with his second hit tonight, going the other way, and didn't hit it hard, but got it in the right spot. 1 out double. Pujols will come up.
He's trying to throw it down and away, and ball actually not a terrible spot when you pitch to Trout, up and in like that. Trout is swinging the bat well right now, and he just went the other way with it. Inside out at it, hit it pretty sharply down the right field line.
So Trout at second. Albert Pujols tonight is 1 for 3. And Dyson drops that slider in for strike 1. Pujols last time up got the infield single, hit it off the end of the glove of Elvis Andrus. Elvis almost recovered in time to throw him out. Just missed getting him at first. Chopper that Dyson will have. And Pujols out. On to third goes Trout. 2 away. And Sam back to doing what he does best. That's having the opposing hitters kill a bunch of worms.
Both two guys have done that this inning. Beating it right into the ground.
Two away now. Cole Calhoun will step up. Calhoun tonight, a single right back up the middle off of Colby Lewis' glove. Last time he was up there, that was in the 6th inning. Rangers going to the overshift. Elvis playing directly behind second base. Out of play to the left for strike 1. Good look at the defensive alignment for the Rangers. Outfield just shading Calhoun slightly to the right. Dyson back to the plate. And that changeup, an 89-mile-an-hour changeup that he will feature. 0-2. Crowd getting into it. Once the rain clouds stayed away, the crowd increased, going out in droves here tonight. Chopper foul will come back and try it again. Calhoun in previous matchups against Sam Dyson 0 for 3. Dyson ready. Another 0-2 pitch coming. Got him swinging.
Kind of with a changeup.
Bottom dropping out of that. A big strikeout for Sam Dyson. Angels get a double, but strand Trout at third. 7.5 in the books from Globe Life Park. Sam Dyson shutting down the Angels. The Rangers continuing to lead 4-2 on Fox Sports Southwest.
Rangers on top of the Angels as we welcome you back to Globe Life Park in Arlington. This is the opener of a 3-game series between the Angels and the Rangers. Game 2 will take place tomorrow here at the Globe, same time, same place. As I mentioned, you can also find it on Fox Sports Southwest. There you see a couple of the big boppers in this one. Mike Trout with those great numbers against the Rangers, and of course Ian Desmond really heating up as of late, a 406 average in his last 10 games. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock here on Fox Sports Southwest. Guys, thanks to the folks at AT High-Speed Internet for getting us ready for Game 2 between these two.
All right, Em, thank you. Well, we head to the bottom of the 8th inning, and Corey Rasmus, 28-year-old right-hander out of Phoenix City, Alabama, on now to face the middle of the Ranger order, Adrian Beltre, Prince Fielder, and Ian Desmond. Rasmus, the younger brother of Colby Rasmus, outfielder for the Houston Astros. 6th appearance of the year for Corey. 0-1, a 6.10 ERA. Opposition, though, hitting just 118 against him. And Beltre going after that high off-speed pitch. Adrian tonight 0 for 3, is lined out twice and grounded into a double play. Rangers 4 runs on 8 hits. The Angels 2 runs on 10 hits. Rangers trying to make it 3 in a row here at home. 1-2. Whenever Adrian Beltre plays against the Angels, he seems to come to life very effectively because he has more offensive output against the Angels than against any other team in almost every category for him. 222 games coming into tonight, 234 hits, 36 home runs, 137 RBI. 2-2. However, Rasmus has handled Beltre pretty well, 0 for 5.
Okay, Buzz, so you're in Milwaukee right now, and you're Adam Conley, and you're out pitching against the Brewers. You got a no-hitter with 2 outs in the 8th inning, and you've thrown 116 pitches, and you get taken out of the game. You're Adam Conley, and then you're Don Mattingly. So who made the right decision? I know what Adam Conley's thinking,
exactly.
But that's a tough one for a manager.
Well, and Don Mattingly's thinking, if I don't take him out, I'm going to have his agent living with me, and I don't want to have to deal with that. And all the pitch count police will be on my back.
I guess he figured once he got to 116 with 1 out in the 8th inning, he can't let him go out for the 9th, right, and therefore you might as well get him out of there now.
Yeah. Ball 4. Well, Adrian draws the leadoff walk. And the Rangers begin the 8th inning by having their leadoff man aboard, and Prince Fielder coming up. Yeah, see, that's a problem. And you can't fault Mattingly because you never ask pitchers anymore to extend.
No.
You know,
no.
Even when you try to build a guy up, you don't build him up to 120 pitches.
No.
He's building up to 90 or 100 max. So, you know, you're cutting your own throat if you're the manager and you leave him out there.
I know.
Especially a young pitcher. Prince Fielder, a key RBI single his last time up. He had a big 2-out base hit that tied the ball game, brought Rougned Odor home with the 2nd Ranger run. The Rangers would go on to have 2 more 2-out hits. Desmond and Moreland chipped in. Put that 3 on the board in the 6th inning. They've maintained that 4-2 advantage. 2 balls, no strikes. Minnesota going to go out and have a chat with Rasmus. Fielder, just 1 previous at bat against Rasmus. Fly it out. We've got a whole bunch of guys with 1,000 or more RBI. Well, Albert Pujols is 2nd on the active player list, 1712. Adrian Beltre, the 1,480. And then Prince. Got his 1,000th here tonight. Escobar, the third baseman, in foul ground, makes the catch. One gone. Beltre. Playing a little cat and mouse over there with Escobar.
Trying to make Escobar throw it, but Escobar won't take the bait.
Center fielder.
No, one away. Now Desmond will come up. It's too bad he doesn't have any fun playing the game. Huh? Man. Desmond, another multi-hit night. 2 for 3 this evening, a double and a single. He has driven in a run. He has scored a run. And takes ball 1. And Desmond has faced Rasmus a couple of times. He drew a walk and 0 for 1 officially against the right-hander. No, with those 2 hits now, as you can see, Ian's got that batting average up to 231. A ball and a strike. Left field, kind of got it down toward the end of the bat. Ortega has a play and makes the catch. That is out number 2. And Beltre got caught off first base and he is out. Well, that's going to end the inning as Beltre makes the last out at first. And here's how that inning ended. Ortega, and very quickly Simmons gunned down Beltre, makes that a 7-6-3 double play. So we're through 8 here at Globe Life Park. Rangers 4, Angels 2, Fox Sports Southwest.
Good one here on this Friday night at Globe Life Park. The Rangers came back from a 2-0 deficit after a nice rally and have a 4-2 lead here as we head into the 9th inning. Dana Larson reminding you we've got Rangers Live, the post-game edition, coming up right after the game. Join me, Mark McLemore, and Pudge Rodriguez to break down not only that rally, but the great pitching we've had in this game. We'll hear from Jeff Bannister, the key players with Emily Jones in the clubhouse, and set up Game 2 tomorrow with Derek Holland on the hill. So please join us right after the game for Rangers Live. Buzz and Tom?
All right, Dana, thank you. Well, Sean Tollison, here he is again, 7 out of 8 in saves this year. And going to work here in the top of the 9th inning. A chopper on 1 pitch and 1 out. As Andrelton Simmons obliges. Now, Tollison Coming on for his 11th appearance of the year. He has had saves in each of his last 4 outings. Only blown save the second outing of the year back on the 6th of the month against Seattle. Going back to May 20th of 2015, he is 42 for 45. C.J. Cron. And strike one. Cron denied a single in 3 trips. On the outside corner. Nothing in 2. Tollison. What do we decide? We're going to call that a slider for the time being? As I forgot to ask him about it today.
I think he's throwing both pitches, but I'm not sure. I'd call it a curveball. I'd call that a strikeout, though.
I would too. I'd call that a high heater. And that is out number 2. And Mike Scioscia, eternally perplexed look on his face.
Look at the catcher. He wants the ball up high. He delivers it up high, and it's a successful pitch. Prone to chase it.
Now here's Giovanni Soto, who has faced Sean Tollison exactly once and walked. Strike one.
Well, it's funny how the season, the ebbs and flows of a season where the bullpen, you can't find rest for the bullpen. You got 8 guys down there. You're wondering who's going to pitch the next inning. And then you go another week or 2 and managers trying to find spots to get his bullpen in. Starting pitching has been so good. They're not coming out of the game real early. And the bullpen is well rested right now. Yeah, I call that a slider, Buzz.
Yeah, okay. We'll go with that. We'll go with 1 ball and 2 strikes, too. Fans now on their feet, 29,000 plus, 29,589. Trying to encourage Sean Tollison on to his 8th save, and the Rangers on to their 3rd consecutive win.
Look at her.
It's a hair raiser. Got him on the fist. Yeah, just to go to that point you were talking about, Tom, with the starters. Now this is the 23rd consecutive game the starters have gone 5 innings or more, and that makes it difficult for the bullpen sometimes.
Change up.
You just got a piece of it. Club record, by the way, in case you're wondering about those things, 37 consecutive starts. That was back in 1984. And I never would have remembered that.
Rick Honeycutt?
Yeah, no, that was after Honeycutt. That is a strikeout, and that is a winner. Sean Tollison, save number 8. The Rangers cap off a 4-2 win tonight, a 3-run 6th inning. And the Rangers have been living on a big inning. This last homestand, this homestand, 5-run innings, now a 3-run inning, holding the Angels down to just 2 runs total tonight. And Colby Lewis, 7 outstanding innings, and then Sam Dyson and Sean Tollison come in and slam the door on the Angels. Only 1 hit the last 2 innings. That was a double by Mike Trout going the other way. Other than that, 6 outs in 7 hitters, and the Rangers close out their 13th win of April of 2016. Last April, not quite so good. 7-14. They have almost doubled the output in the win column, and Jeff Bannister is going to feel very good about his ball club, how they responded to challenges. And they responded to a downturn offensively in Chicago, and to come back here, played extremely well at home once they got the offense going. And it wasn't a great output tonight, but enough with good pitching by Colby Lewis and company to turn it into the 13th win of the year. Colby Lewis gets his 2nd win of the year. He is perfect at 2-0. Now let's go down to the field. Emily Jones is standing by.
Thank you very much, Prince. You've said all along you don't care how you get them in as long as you get them in, and you're getting them in this season.
Yeah, that's that's my job to produce runs, but you know, it's going all right. You know, hopefully here and there, you know, nobody's in scoring position. I get a couple more hits, but you know, until then, I just got to keep driving them in and see what happens.
What does a milestone like 1,000 RBIs mean to you?
It's pretty cool. You know, I want to get a couple more though, but very, very thankful for the 1,000 I've got. You know, couldn't do it without, you know, all my teammates and all the guys.
That's what happens when you get 1,000 RBIs. It's cold. It's cold. It's cold. It's cold. That's all right. It's all right. 7-second delay. It's all right.
Prince, when you look at what Colby was able to do out there tonight, what kind of a tone did he set?
Oh, great tone. I mean, you know, he gave up a couple mistakes, but after that, he was lights out. And I think our pitching staff's been doing that all year. You know, they've been keeping us in the game and keeping it close. So that way, when we finally, you know, get ready and start getting some hits, we can get something going.
One more thing. I sit right over here, and there are a few things that give me greater joy than seeing you round third base at full speed. I mean, it's so fast. What's it like when you're rounding third and you see home?
The thing is, I can't stop. So there's, you know, once I get going, you can't stop it. So I just got to keep on moving.
Prince, nice work. Up top. Prince Fielder, guys, back up to you.
Great stuff, Emily. Thank you. Prince Fielder, one of a kind, and 1,000 RBI man for his career. Rangers win it 4-2. We'll come back to Globe Life Park with more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.